Welcome to the Johnny Dell Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, joined by Mr. Johnny Dell, and we are reminding you, as always, the most fun way to watch is on YouTube, where we go live. There you can comment into the live show. Be sure to hit the notification bell and turn on your notifications so you can be a part of the conversation. We also stream live on Facebook and X. Also, the audio versions are always found on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Now, if you are live with us in the chat, it's probably because you are subscribed, you've hit the notification bell, and turned those notifications on. So, when sharing with your friends, be sure to let them know. We also love to hear from you outside of our live show. Email us at johnnydellsfootballacademy@gmail.com, and you can always check out the website jfa49.com, as it is the most fun way to support the channel. Also, the way we boost the chat and boost the algorithm is to type out hashtag JD49. Welcome in. It is a Friday. It is almost game day. We are excited. We have stats, we got predictions, we got the hows and whys of the game. We got it all. We got Arizona Cardinals coming up. And honestly, Johnny, I gotta say, the Arizona Cardinals are like this small bee sting that just enough makes you like upset, like, because we lose to them often enough where it's like, why are we losing to them? How do you see that trend going this year?
Well, I want to say Kyle is 7-9 against the Cardinals.
Dude, that's weird. That's so weird.
Yeah.
It's weird, man.
It's
weird.
It is what it is. The Cardinals are a team that always, even before Cliff and after Cliff, have started out the season hot and starts to make everybody believers. And then somewhere around the end of the season, around mid-November, they just fade and cannot keep going. And so playing them in the third week of the year, when your team is underhanded and you have a history of this team, one, the Cardinals being hot, you being slow, is not ideal. If we remember back to last year, it felt like that Cardinals game was really the one. I don't want to say broke us, because we kept going for a long time, but it was like, it was so disheartening.
Yes.
And it was so it felt like that told you exactly how the season was going to go. And it ended up being exactly that. A game where you lose because your kicker gets a high ankle sprain and it derails his entire career. And you have to go for it on 4th and like 17 from the opponent's 30-yard line, because you can't even attempt a field goal. Like, and your running back fumbles in the red zone going in to seal the game, and the Cardinals come back and win it in the last few seconds.
Was that Jordan Mason?
Because it was Jordan Mason.
Yeah.
And like, when we just think back to that game last year, you looked at it and you said, there is no good reason. There's no like good explanation of why the 49ers lost this game. I believe we won time of possession, and I think we'd won the turnover battle, if I'm not mistaken, on that one as well. We won by yards produced, and we were up at one point. It was like a 96% chance of winning the game, and then you lose. It was just, it was so much of the game. It was the fourth quarter scoring that by the defense. We'll get to the super chat in a second, because I'm going to continue speaking of this evil.
Yeah.
The defense gave up fourth quarter scoring. could not rush the passer in the fourth quarter. You had a turnover late in the game, and your special teams was non-functional. That is the story of the 49ers season last year. And this also happened because of a terrible injury at the wrong time. So, I mean, this was the story of the 49ers season, was encapsulated. And I think when we came away from that game, we were like, okay, that was wild. As long as that doesn't happen in every other game, this 49ers team can get back on track and be really good. And it didn't. And that happened in almost every game from there on out. So I'm not going to say that this is going to be a harbinger of the season to come in this game. It's just, I think this would be a good opportunity if you can come out with a win to completely wash the taste of last season out of your mouth and say definitively, if you can win this game definitively, this has turned the page from last season, because last year's game was such an encapsulation of the entire season. You can say, okay, we have slayed that dragon. We have exorcised the demon from last year. This is a new team. We are 3-0, and there's even more hope for what this team can do if you've weathered this first month of the season with 3 wins. That's huge.
Big time. And that's all we're going to say about that, Lisa. We promise no more of last year's evil. I will put a drop a mute button on Johnny, Lisa. Don't worry. So thank you. She says, yes, we do not speak of last year's evil, Johnny. I want to get to...
But you got to remember where you came from to know what you overcame.
That's enough. All right. So John and Cayman's Island podcast agree with me about the O-line versus the D-line, and we're going to get into that. But I want to bring up, and because the reason why I agree with that is what I want to bring up here. We have, let's go to the tape. I got some stats. So the only stat that I think is worth discussing is Arizona's defense against the run. In all other categories, like, let's talk about them offensively, throwing the ball, rushing the ball, points, like, it's all not worth noting. They are not good. Defense, not good, except for giving up rushing yards. They don't do it. Now, let's also look, which a lot of people, non-49er fans, are going to say that against us all year. We know this. Well, who have you played? Well, I get you can say that with Arizona. They played the Saints. Who have they played? So it's like, at what point do you say they actually have a good rush defense? But to John and Cayman Islands podcast point, that it's our O-line versus their D-line. Do you agree with that? And let's talk through that, the run defense for the Cardinals.
Well, I mean, one thing that's fascinating when you look at the teams that have played them, teams have been almost 50-50 run pass against them. They've had 61 pass plays defended, and they've defended 59 run plays. So it's 61-59. They have been almost a 50-50. So you can't say, well, teams just throw on them. And so that's why their rushing defense numbers are lower. No, I mean, they don't give up a lot of yards, period. They're giving up 199 passing yards, which isn't a lot. They're giving up 106 rushing yards, which isn't amazing. It's also not terrible. So they're a very balanced defense because they have a balanced approach, and teams have to try and bring a balanced approach back at them. They don't sit there and load the box every play, but they're still good at defending the run when they don't. They play a lot. So I went back this morning and I watched every first down defense that they've had, and they run a ton of cover 4. They run a lot of Tampa 2 first down. I want to say it was probably 66%, 65% was cover 4 or cover 2 on first down, and the other 33% was cover 3. So they're not exactly just loading up the box on first down on rundowns and saying, you have to throw on us on those early downs, and we're going to stop the run. Yet they are still doing pretty well in overall rushing efficiency. They're 12th in rushing efficiency. So I think you're right in that this isn't going to be an easy road to haul against them when they trying to run the ball on them. We are 27th. Our offense is 27th in overall rushing efficiency. Now, there's caveats to that. Is that when you mean overall rushing efficiency, you're meaning how do you, how have you efficient have you been running the ball per carries and all that stuff? The 49ers run offense with this offensive line trying to kind of piece back together and Trent, he took a bunch of reps in training camp, but he was sitting out every 2 days. And we've seen this with Trent that the first couple weeks it takes him a while to work. We've had the changes there at left guard. Dominic Puni has been hurting. He's been hobbling a little bit there with his knee. He did come along better than Seattle. Seattle was a very difficult week for him. So seeing those things, Brian Robinson is really still learning the details of this run game, and he was like this close to breaking a 60-yard touchdown against the Saints. And it was his footwork. If he was just a little bit tighter on that footwork and was able to get a little skinnier through the hole, it was there. And it's one of those, like, this is why it's hard to take Christian McCaffrey off the field. If Christian McCaffrey's out there, that might be a 60-yard touchdown. And now your rushing efficiency looks way different, right? Because you're getting an explosive. Our run offense is one that you're okay with a 2-yard run and a 1-yard run if then you're going to get a 60-yard run. What you aren't okay with are the 2-yard losses. And I'll get to the super chat. I know you keep eyeing it. You are always like, when they pop up, we got to hit that. And you're hitting the horn. Adam is like, he's
we got to show love to people that show you love.
We will show love. But I'm ADHD and I will get distracted.
You think?
If we sidetrack on that, so I have to finish my thought. And see, this is you just
and look, it's not a sidetrack. It's not a sidetrack. If you look at the question,
but I can't even. Oh my goodness, Adam,
you're just bad. Take care of the fans. Take care of the fans.
Rude.
Well, this question is speaking to what we're talking about because Cayman Island Podcast asks, do you have concerns over our yards per carry, or do you feel we are still figuring things out? And that's a great question.
Yes, we're still figuring things out. The offensive line is still gelling. The timing of our tight ends. Remember, George Kittle went down very early in that Seahawks game, and he hasn't been back since. And we're not talking about a good blocking tight end. We are talking about the best blocking tight end. We're not talking about that it's just next man up. It's that guys who have spent most of their reps playing in 2 tight end sets where they were in the U back position and now they're in the Y position. U is usually a second tight end. Y is your number 1 tight end. That everybody's shifting over, and then you had Juszczyk go out in that Saints game. So all of those things do affect how you do it. It affects the gelling and the timing and the footwork. All of these things are details. Now, again, they should be able to overcome it. But I will say from the film, and it's not just me that says this. I said it. I think it was on the show Monday. And I believe I said it on my breakdown video. It's hard to remember. I say a lot of things, but I think I said it on the breakdown video that the 49ers are very, very close to breaking one of these runs. I think I said it on Twitter is actually where it was. This is what happens when you have so many different places that you're trying to say things. Don't roll your eyes at me, Adam. It's difficult. And I caught John Feliciano's podcast yesterday. Shout out, John, if you're watching the show. On his Not Our Fault podcast, where he said the same thing. He said these guys are really close to breaking some of these runs and busting out some 60-yarders. Like, they are really close. It's gonna happen soon. Like, and that's what the tape shows. Like, week 1, I was like, there was maybe one run where it was like, okay, they may have been able to pop that one. If a few things went better. At this point, like last game, I was looking at 4 or 5. Where it's like, oh man, McCaffrey breaks that tackle against that safety. That's a touchdown. He's gone. If McKivitz catches that block on the back end just a little bit more, we're gone. If Ryan Robinson makes his footwork's a little bit tighter there, oh, he's gone. Like, they were there. And And in that, we haven't been having as many ops for the explosives because teams are playing more too high defense against us, which is weird. We're not used to that. We're used to teams just loading up the box and trying to stop the run. And right now, they're actually saying McCaffrey is your number one receiving threat. So we are going to end up going too high because you want to get him the ball in the passing game. And so it's kind of this backwards of what you would think is you would think with the receivers being down, teams are just going to load the box. What they're actually saying is, no, we're going to make you go all the way down the field. We're okay with giving up a 7-yard run, a 6-yard run, because we think we can get you in man coverage and we can then challenge your receivers to win. And we're going to win that more often than not. And so teams are like, well, we're going to take away explosives and make you work your way down the field. And you're going to have to execute, and you've got a banged up offensive line. So that's more of what we've been seeing.
You know, you say that, and I think of Miami's defense last night. They kind of kept everything in front. They were like, it's Josh Allen, they're going to get some yards, but I feel like that was their approach for sure. Ryan Fitzpatrick talked about that. I mean, so I totally see that. Let me ask you this with our game. Um, we talked about a key factor, the run game and all that. What is another factor for you? Like we look to you, the faithful look to you on your take on certain things that maybe the casual fan won't see. So, what is something else that you're looking for? Like, all right, I have my eye either on a particular matchup or something as a whole.
Something as a whole is going to be first downs. I think we're going to throw more on first downs and run more on second down. That's just my gut intuition, because the Cardinals run a lot of cover 4, and then when they go cover 2, it's Tampa, and then they run 3. So all of those defenses, uh, we think of Tampa 2 as a 2 high defense, right? Because it's Tampa 2, but it's really more of a 3 high defense, because that Mike has to match the number 3 down the middle of the field. And so you really end up with your 2 deeps are down the seams instead of on the edges outside the numbers. And then you have that middle right down the middle of the field. Whereas cover 3, a lot of times it's hard on the edges, and then you're shading one side or the other. Still with that means you have 4 underneath zone defenders. With Tampa, you have 4 underneath zone defenders. With cover 4, you have 3 underneath zone defenders. The moment that Carolina was able to start getting good production on first down was when they were running a lot of 3-step, classic West Coast passing concepts. Stick concept, slant flat, double slant, spacing. They were running all those things, and once they started doing that, they started moving the ball and getting in like on schedule. But the problem was they started doing it too late. They did it coming out of the half and into the late third quarter, and they started getting some drives moving the ball, and then they nearly had a comeback in that game. If not, I mean, I don't know if did you catch any of the game last Sunday? It was the game I flipped over to after watching our game, and I was like, what in the world is happening at the end of this game? Because I wanted to get a little bit of taste of the Cardinals. That game, the Panthers were down, I think it was down 8 at the end of the game, and they ended up getting an onside kick, which was wild to see.
Yeah,
Because
it's like 1%.
it's just so rare. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing to see somebody get an onside kick. And then there was flag after flag after flag after flag. I want to say in the last 10 plays, there was probably 7 penalty flags thrown. Like, it was almost every single play, there was a flag. It was either illegal contact, pass interference, holding, roughing the passer. Like, something was happening. So in all of that, going back to it, on first down, you got to hit the short passing game. I think that's got to get you moving. It's going to be hard because when you come out in your base offense, the Cardinals are going to come out with a nose tackle, 94. I looked his name up. I'm going to double check it right here because I have the roster pulled up. Dalvin Tomlinson. Okay. Dalvin Tomlinson is a big man. He's 6'3", 335 pounds. He's their nose tackle. He's going to be head up on Jake Brendel. And one thing Jake Brendel is not is a strong people mover. Jake Brendel's a twitchy, fast center. He is not a people mover. He struggles against these kinds of big nose tackles. And so they're going to have Tomlinson trying to bowl and penetrate against Jake Brendel into the backfield on your run game. So I think you need to be able to take advantage that they're going to be in cover 4 and one of their outside linebackers is going to be dropping, and you got to figure out the script is going to be who is doing that, who's the one dropping, and you're going to start working their side in the early rundowns with a short passing game. That's what I look forward to.
Now, what's the update on who's available, who's not available? I haven't had a chance to look this early morning. Who do we not have? What's the latest with like use check?
In the concussion protocol. I mean,
So
that's one of those that it's like, okay, which he can't even be cleared, I think, until at least today. So I mean, they've got to go through the concussion protocol, and there's no like, having had like 2 or 3 concussions in my life, it's there's no real thing that you can say, okay, he should be good to go in 2 days, because you can have one day that gets better and then the next day gets worse.
right.
It's just there are things that can happen. So status uncertain about Mr. Juszczyk.
Yeah, status was uncertain for you about Brock Purdy last week, and we know what happened there.
Look. You make bold statements, you're gonna have bold misses sometimes.
Yeah, that is exactly what happened. But encouraged that he's already moving, it seems decently well on the footage that gets released. I mean, obviously they release what they want you to see. If there was any limping, they probably pulled that footage out. I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah,
to think.
I will say it is encouraging to see the 49ers injury report is a little bit smaller than it has been in
Yeah.
recent weeks. Now, some of that's because we do have several guys move to IR, like George Kittle. But when you look at the did not participate, there was only 2 guys that didn't participate in practice this week. That was Spencer Burford and Juwan Jennings. Everybody else is limited or full. You have Nick Bosa. Now, that was a vet day. He was a full participant yesterday. You look at Jordan James was a full participant yesterday. That's big news for him as he's coming back. Christian McCaffrey was again a not injury related. It's they're resting him. That's part of the plan with him. Trent Williams was again vet day, not necessarily. They listed it as not injury related. Jordan Watkins was limited yesterday, so I don't think we're going to see the debut of Jordan Watkins necessarily. If it is, it's going to be very small, because what limited means is that he's not participating in the team drills. He's going to be limited participating in some individual drills, working on some fundamentals, alignment, things like that. So there's that. Brock Purdy was limited. Saron Neal was limited, but with the concussion. Kyle Juszczyk was limited with the concussion, which means they're in a non-contact jersey and they can't do any contact work. So, I mean, there's hope that they'll play, but Yetur Gross-Matos was limited with the knee. Hopefully that is something that kind of gets under control soon, because we need him in those NASCAR packages. He's a kind of the unsung hero on our defense of being a Swiss Army knife that we're moving him around everywhere in those NASCAR packages. Juwan Jennings did not practice with his ankle and his shoulder. I'm doubtful that he's going to suit up, that he's going to go. I think with Kendrick Bourne being ready, I mean, Juwan Jennings has been getting injury after injury after injury. He's got the calf, then the ankle, and the shoulder, the calf, then the shoulder, now the ankle. I mean, dude's being held together by duct tape. So I don't know about that. And then the thing with Spencer Burford worries you of if Colton McKivitz goes down, or if I'm not going to say it, something else happens on the other side, and you have to have somebody else. I don't want Austin Pleasance coming in. I don't want to see him in the game,
Yeah.
especially not against Josh Sweat. Like, I do not want to see that. That would be very, very not good for the 49ers. I don't want to see Mac Jones get hurt and then Brock Purdy come in on a bad toe, and if he's the backup that's suited up as an emergency, and then him have to be behind there with Austin Pleasance trying to block Josh Sweat. Like, those are things I don't want to see.
Not so pleasant.
Right. So that's why all this to come back to, that's why you have to get the short passing game going early. I don't care if this is death by 1,000 paper cuts to the Cardinals. Like, and it's dink and dunk. Like, I don't care if it's by dink or dunk or one big throw or 800 runs. I don't care how you go about winning. It's just, do you execute a plan and that plan ends up in a win? That's really what I care about.
So, what's up, Shifty? He asks, we got Pearsall, Bourne, Gage, MVS, and Sky. Is that what we're rocking with for this week? Then it looks like.
I think so. I
don't know if I like that.
I will say it was great to see Kendrick Bourne out there. That dude, like,
he loves being a Niner. He loves being a Niner.
I don't even know if it's just loves being a Niner. Dude loves football. Like, I mean, you could see it on the tape. Dude was jacked up when he'd get a catch. When he didn't get a catch and he's blocking, he was just excited. There was it was one play in particular. He wasn't even on the field, and I saw it from the coach's film, and I went, "That's why you love Kendrick Bourne." So I think it was a Christian McCaffrey. It was a throw that they made to Christian McCaffrey. He took it off right side, and he was tackled and went down. Kendrick Bourne ran up to him, started running towards him from like 20 feet away to help him off the ground, to go pick up his teammate. And now McCaffrey popped up before he got over there. But I was like, that's why you love Kendrick Bourne, because he's that kind of player who is always looking to run over and help your guy up off the ground. He wants to help your guy get in the end zone. He wants to make the block. He gets so excited when he gets a catch because he knows the team has gone down there. Like, I love Kendrick Bourne and what he brings to the table. And I understand he had to go get his money, and I'm so glad he went and got his money. But I'm really glad he's back in the 49ers building.
Yeah, same. Love him being a Niner. He's that guy that is never ever going to be the best wide receiver on any time he suits up. However, he's always a guy that you want on the roster. Talking still with the roster, one name that we haven't brought up that I'm not sure the timetable or what's going on is Barch. Like,
I think they're gonna. Well, they didn't put him on IR, so, or excuse me, yeah, I believe they did put him on IR.
Did they?
Let me double check that. It's hard to keep up with everything.
Gosh,
the chat always is like, yeah, we know all these things. Don't even Johnny. And I'm like, look, I spend most of my time during the first couple days. Yeah, they put Barch on IR, so he's out at least 3 to 4 weeks. So. And look, everybody knows I love Ben Barch, and I was super high, and I was like, this is our plan for left guard, and I'm okay with it. But but it was always with the caveat, he has to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Because that has been the story of his career, is that he has never played more than 7 games in a row. And so
it's frustrating.
Unfortunately, that's what it is. Now, I will say Connor Colby came in, and we have to be careful about crowning these rookies early, especially when they come in the middle of a game and there is no real game plan against them. The opposing defensive line coach hasn't sat there and watched his tape and said, okay, he takes this step on this and this pass protection, so he's susceptible to these counter moves. But I will say that Connor Colby's performance in that game, it showed exactly what we were hopeful for, which was after he was drafted. I remember we talked about it here, brought up his relative athletic score. The guy is a mover. And I don't mean that in that he moves people out of the way. It's that he has an incredible movement skill traits. Like Connor Colby is, and I'm going to pull this up again. Here is his relative athletic score. And this is exactly what showed on the tape. 9.66 overall relative athletic score. Super athletic kid. Okay, what does that mean? His 10-yard split was 1.78 seconds, and that is an 8.28 grade. That's very good. It's great. 20-yard split, 2.97 seconds. Great. His 40-yard dash, 5.11 seconds. It's in the great. His broad jump, which tells you his explosiveness in his movement, how much force and energy it comes out in the burst, was 9.28 seconds. That is great. So when you look at his RAS, his relative athletic score, this is a kid that has movement skills, high end movement skills. His
Just need to see more of them.
9.66 RAS out of 10 is 55th out of 1,583 guards coming out in the draft since 1987. Okay, so since 1987, he had the 55th highest RAS score, and that's pretty good. I mean, that's almost as old as I am of people coming out, and he was able to do that. So he is an incredibly athletic kid, and that's exactly what showed on tape. His ability, like, and I showed it on the breakdown video. He went and scooped a one technique or a reach block, whatever you want to call it. Same thing, six one way, half dozen the other. That he executed a reach block on a one technique, which means that's a guy that is not even heads up on him. This is outside shoulder of Brendel. And he crossed the guy's face and moved around, and the feet kept moving. And you saw that. I saw that over and over on film. Feet keep moving. Feet keep moving. And I've talked about this on the show. One thing I loved about Dominic Puni is that he was a driver, not a pusher, right? That he would engage and then drive with his legs, and the feet, he blocks with his feet, not with his hands. Pushers tend to lose their balance. They tend to commit a lot of holding penalties. And I said that about Connor Colby from the preseason. I said he's a driver, not a pusher. You see that he doesn't bend over at the waist. He keeps everything upright, and he moves and he drives with his legs. So that's what I loved about Connor Colby, and it proved out in that Saints game. I almost said Ravens. I don't know why. But it showed out in that game, and hopefully he continues to take the next step. And I know there's this thing like they showed the game wasn't too big for him. And that's such a cliche, like coach speak thing, right? But what do you mean by that? You mean, does somebody get so overwhelmed that they completely lose their technique? Like they're just panicking. You can see them out there just struggling, and they're not keeping their balance, and their feet are all in the weird place because they're so overwhelmed by the fact that they are on an NFL field and there's 60,000 screaming fans, and there's guys that they grew up watching sitting on the other side. And it wasn't too big for him in that moment. Kept his head, didn't kept his technique, and so the game wasn't too big for him.
Yeah, and we just need to see more of that. But we're obviously excited for him. I just feel bad for Barch because of all the good tape that he puts out there. It's like, man, you'd love to see that. We just want to see more of it. But is what it is. Offensive line, just always something that we have to talk through. Let's talk about Kyler Murray a little bit. Like, he's such a weird entity. Like, he's good. He's shows flashes of like there's only 5 guys on the planet that could have made that particular play. Then he looks pedestrian. We're sacking him like every other down. It seems like he's 3 feet tall. Like, what are we doing with Kyler Murray? What do we think about him at this point in his career?
I think Kyler Murray is so far in his career, he's gonna try and chase the demon that he was somebody who just never was fully bought into football alone.
Yeah. He was drafted to play baseball.
Yeah, and oh man.
John
Look
Chapman.
at this. We have the legend, the man, the myth, the legend. Our good friend John Chapman is in the chat with a huge super chat. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate John Chapman so much. Look, I will just take a second moment and say I went to his 49ers Rush road trip in Seattle. Adam's going to pull it up. He's got the I'm not going to say terrible towel. I'm going to say the golden towel that is red. From John's 49ers Rush road trip. And and he's like, I got the air horns. That is one of the greatest experiences you can have as a fan. I mean, for real. Like, he provides what we all really want as fans, which is
unreal.
We love to get into a group as a community. And this is just, I think he taps into something primal within humans. We want to get together with other people who have similar shared beliefs, and we want to revel in the joy that we are with a similar community that has all these shared values, and that is that we love the 49ers. And what I do love about when you come into that room, I don't ask people what their political beliefs are. I don't ask them what their beliefs on anything else are, because I'm not there for that. I get to come in and I can have a great time with somebody who I may otherwise have a huge disagreement with, but John provides that the atmosphere for that to happen, and that is a fundamentally good thing. This is a fundamentally good thing, and I appreciate what he does in that and what he makes for what he provides for everybody in that. Like, this is a good thing for the Niners community, and thank you, John, for what you've done and the boldness to step out and do what was a risk in even starting this whole thing. Like, I applaud you 100%. Mad respect to what you do. Appreciate what you do. My wife loved it. We went to the Rush road trip there in Seattle. If you ever have an opportunity, take that opportunity. If you're going to be at a game, connect with 49ers Rush road trip. You will not be disappointed. You will love every second of it. That's not just me giving him a plug because he gave me a super chat. That is truly how I feel. So,
and now it's my turn, because I will second this, and now I get my time on the mic to give John love. Be sure that you follow him on every platform so that you can get more information on what he does. I had a chance also to go to one of his parties, and it was preseason in Nashville. And we took over this bar. It was a sea of red. It was amazing. That's where I got this. He was very gracious to ask me to help him with, like, kind of running things, the table. Like, he always has stuff that you like auctioned off, signed jerseys. I think it was a signed John Taylor jersey, which is amazing. He gives away stuff. Very, very, very gracious host. He's just the coolest dude. His wife is even cooler than he is. He will be the first to admit that, because I met her as well. But
his
again,
coverage on that one.
Yeah, again, you have to follow him. If you do not know who John Chapman is, or you do not follow him, then I need you to do that, because he is one of those guys that you have to keep up with. He has his podcast, all of that stuff. Also, John, side note, I live in Indiana. I already have my Colts tickets. Please tell me that you are coming to Indiana for that Monday night game. It's the Monday before Christmas.
You can always check it, 49ersrushroadtrip.com.
That's true. That's true.
Came and asked if I do a meetup at any games. I don't get to go to many games. I really don't. I have not actually been to a game in, gosh, it's been a long time. It may be like 10 years since I've been to a game. That's just the nature of how it goes sometimes. And no regrets on that one. So and John is gonna be there in Indy.
Waka waka. First beer's on me, brother. You're in my world now, Grandpa. You're in my world.
Fozzie Bear made an appearance. What is going on in here?
I'm excited.
Oh my goodness.
Indy is my domain. Like, he's in my world now. Like, yeah.
All right.
I'm hyped for December.
and I know people are pulling for the Drew Moss. I've seen this now a few times in the chat. Remember, Drew Moss is a rookie coming in who he played in Division II college for a while, and then he went to Colorado. He's got a high mountain to climb to get ready for all of the mental stuff that is put on our centers. And the system isn't really just one that you say, well, you put Drew Moss in there and you let Brock handle all that stuff. that's not how this works. Like, that's not how the system works. You don't sit there and build it this way for 8 years and then say, well, because we think Drew Moss might have something, and we want to get him in there early, you just throw him in there. And then you change the way that the communication has happened, and then these guys have practiced communication. They're expecting communication to happen the whole way. And no, and like John Feliciano has talked about it, that what Jake Brendel has to do mentally at the line of scrimmage, he's like, it's mental torture. He said, I don't envy in any way what Jake has to handle in there. And look, I'm not the biggest Jake Brendel fan. You guys know that. But I'm also looking at this and saying, on our offensive line, Jake Brendel is, I'm not sitting there saying, well, he's the reason we haven't busted out some of these runs. He's the reason why Brock got a bunch of pressure against the Seahawks. Like, it's been a collective unit. Like, I don't sit there and say Jake Brendel is the weak link on this offensive line by how they've performed through the couple weeks. If we really look at the aggregate of the two games, Dominic Puni has probably played the worst of any of our offensive linemen. And I love Dom. Like, I love the kid. I think he's going to be a phenomenal all-pro guard, but he was hobbled by a knee that first week. Cost us probably 7 points. That's just the reality of it. So I'm not sitting here saying we need to force the young kid Drew Moss in there just because we don't like Brendel.
Mental soup.
and again, I'm not trying to say that Jake Brendel is an all-world center by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's about middle of the pack. That's what I think. And it really started to hamper down the stretch when you had some other pieces on the offensive line were also not playing well. And so the mistakes of Jake Brendel's were sticking out even more. But that's how it is. But I mean, it's worth noting, Jake Brendel was voted by the offensive line room as offensive lineman of the year. He got the Bob McKittrick award. So yeah, that's how it is. But moving on in this, you were talking about how do you we got totally derailed by everything, which is okay. Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
and
we're talking about Kyler Murray.
I think Kyler Murray is coming all this back to is somebody that is fighting off the reputation that he's not fully sold into football because he hasn't been able to put together a strong season.
Yeah, full
He's
16/17
he's put together
games.
Strong stretches.
Against
when
us.
Yeah, and he's had some strong games against us.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been able to say, I am able to consistently play at the highest level and execute an offense at the highest level.
Yeah.
That is and that is so he's going down as one of those big what ifs players of, man, if they could have put it all together, he could have been one of the greatest to ever play. And right now it's a big what if. He's not so athletic that we put him in that Michael Vick category, which was a weird thing that he had on his was that on his Instagram. He took a picture in a Mike Vick jersey with a pit bull, and I was like,
and then he had to release a statement saying, look,
I didn't even think about that. And it was like, yeah, I mean, look, I understand. Honest mistakes can happen. So I'll give him some benefit of the doubt there.
A black quarterback is allowed to look up growing up to a very good, great, like one
Michael
of the best.
Vick. I mean, yeah, I like you understand. Like there's been a lot of people that love Michael Vick as far as a football player, and the two things were he probably did not even put that in his mind. I'm not upset about them. It's more of like where you start to wonder, where's your focus? Are you able to focus through an entire season on just football? You know, we always made the jokes about him that when the new Call of Duty was released, that we knew the Cardinals were just going to fall off a cliff right there. So it's just like I feel like there's been enough questions about him, and then the arguments that he would have with Cliff Kingsbury making him call plays in the preseason so he could understand how hard it was to call plays, because Cliff would get so frustrated that he would just abandon plays that were there to go make a play. And that will drive offensive coordinators bananas. That drive Mike Holmgren bananas. It drives Mike Shanahan bananas. It drives Cliff Kingsbury bananas. Like, it definitely drives Kyle Shanahan bananas. If a play is there and you just abandon it to go try and make your own, like that was a huge point of contention between he and Robert Griffin III. I remember RG3 told this story. He said Kyle one time in training camp had RG3 draw up 3 plays, 3 passing plays. He's like, I want you to draw up 3 passing plays that you think will work against what we're going to see tomorrow. And so he did, and he had him install him with the team, and then they ran him in practice and they hit him. And he said, and he said, Kyle came to him and said, how did that make you feel? That play that you spent all this time thinking about how it was going to work and how are you going to take advantage of them, and then you were able to hit it and it worked. How did that make you feel? It was like, it was awesome. That was a great feeling. He said, that's how I feel about every single one of my plays. And RG3 was like, I mean, but I also got to play out there and I got to be me. And it was like, yeah, but that drove Kyle Shanahan nuts that RG3 wanted to go make his own play sometimes. And so like, that is what Kyler Murray is that is what he's trying to chase out, that he can work within an offense and he can do that. And then add when the play doesn't work. Not that you make something happen even when the play was there. So Kyler Murray is right now somebody that we're going to see was incredibly talented or incredibly gifted, but has not shown to live up to the talent that is the potential is there. That's how I think Kyler Murray's been. When it comes to how do you stop him, you have to be able to then say you have got to then execute through an entire game. We're not going to let you go make plays. We're going to, if you can work and execute this offense throughout the entirety of the game, then we will die. We will be, die happy, like with our boots on. Like we decided that was the way we were going to go up about this battle plan. And you know what? You overcame what we thought you couldn't. And so kudos to you. But that's what you have to do. Say for 4 quarters, Kyler has to execute the offense.
Tell me you live in the South without telling me you live in the South, Johnny. Die with what?
Die with your boots on.
Say it with your chest. Die with your boots on.
That's not just a Southern saying.
Good Lord. What? Yes, it is. I've never heard that.
Well, that's not my fault.
The chat's going to have to speak up on this. Die with your boots on. I fully understand what that's saying, but I just have never heard that. But I like it. All right. Are we ready for predictions, Johnny?
I think so. I will say a little side note here, and maybe this is me taking a victory lap and pouring a little salt in the wound. Look, I'm not petty all the time, but I'm not saying I'm not petty any of the time. That apparently it is. John's telling me it is a Southern saying. Okay, look, he's from Texas. He would know. Walter Nolan's on the pup. I'll just say that. I'm not saying anything about Walter Nolan more. That everybody said we should draft Walter Nolan. Micah Williams has played really, really well. Walter Nolan's on the pup. Justification for those who were not on the Nolan train. So that's where it is. Yeah, Cayman, I am wearing my hoodie. Look, it was 64 degrees in my area of Alabama this morning. And then I ran the AC the whole time up to this show because I love my Niners hoodie. Like I look for an excuse to wear my Niners hoodie. So that's why I'm wearing the hoodie. But I have the sleeves rolled up because it's a little toasty. A score prediction. I think my score prediction is going to be, it's going to be 24-17 49ers. That's what I think.
And I'm very close.
Wait,
I'm gonna say...
wait, hold on. No. 24-17 because Kyler Murray is going to make one play. He's going to score a touchdown, and we're going to be driven absolutely
bonkers
nuts. When that happens, what's going to be your reaction?
Hey, so one thing from last week, I will tell you, Spencer Rattler made 3 or 4 plays.
Spencer Rattler played an unreal game.
I told you so
watching that tape
last Friday that he was going to make some plays that were like, okay, wow. And he
I
did. I'm
told
just
people that
saying.
coming from the Senior Bowl. I came out of the Senior Bowl. I said, this kid reminds me of Brock Purdy. And I mean, he stood in that pocket and made some incredible throws with Alfred Collins in his face, with Nick Bosa in his face. He made, I mean, just really high level throws. That kid played an unbelievable game.
Yeah.
Like Spencer Rattler, that was low key one of the best performances of week 2. And it went unnoticed because they lost. That was the great
And it's
tragedy of
the
that. But
Saints.
Spencer Rattler played such an incredible game. We should have won that game by 2 scores, but Spencer Rattler played an unbelievable game, and Alvin Kamara got so many yards after contact. Those two guys, that will be an offense to watch throughout the year. I'm just saying that those are two really strong pieces of an offense that they have the building blocks to be something really good. But anyways, so
Yeah.
so everybody in the chat, put in what your prediction is. Adam, what is your
Michael
prediction
Norris.
for the score on the game?
I'm laughing at Michael Norris, who says 99-0. That's like Hurricane Ditka,
Okay.
Bears.
But
But my
what is your prediction?
My prediction